Assalamu alaikum and happy new year, everyone. Welcome back to KSA Rising, your go to source for the latest news and updates on the world of KSA real estate. My name is Kursat Osman, and I'm an indirect tax expert based in the kingdom with a particular enthusiasm for all things real estate related, not just tax. Whether you're a seasoned investor, a first time home buyer, or just someone who shares my passion for real estate, this is the channel for you. Today, we're going to introduce the Saudi RHQ program. We're going to talk about the tax amnesty extension, real estate refinancing, what's happening there, the drop in property transactions, and a few other stories. So do stay tuned. Last week, we touched on the skyrocketing office rents in Riyadh and surmised that this was, in part, due to the regional headquarters or RHQ program in the KSA. The new RHQ policy is the brainchild of the Ministry of Investment, or MISA, and the Royal Commission for Riyadh City. Together, they have created the RHQ program to lure global corporations into establishing their regional headquarters within the KSA borders. Why have they done this? Because it's all part of the Grand Vision 2030 to revamp and diversify the economy. I think it was in early 2021 when the KSA government declared its move to cease dealings with companies that didn't have their RHQs in the KSA. Following this, the KSA Council of Ministers issued a resolution on the 27th of December 2022 approving the regulations and an effective date of the 1st of Jan 2024, so roughly a week ago. And it seems to be a bit of a game changer. The regulations forbid government bodies, government agencies from contracting with companies without an RHQ in the KSA. MISA has curated a list of these foreign companies on an online portal, and it's like the ultimate RHQ guest list. You're either in or you're out. But wait, there are exceptions to this rule. Government bodies can break the RHQ rule in certain scenarios. For example, in emergency situations, or if the KSA only options are very rare, but they must report these non-compliant arrangements to the KSA General Auditing Bureau within 30 days. Now, let's fast track to December 13, 2023, so last month. The Ministry of Investment, or MISA, unveiled a host of tax incentives injecting rocket fuel into the RHQ program. Companies are now sprinting to get their slice of the pie, with 180 RHQ licenses already issued, beating the 160 license target that they'd set right at the start. Now it's starting to make sense why the rates of office rents in Riyadh are going through the roof. As is apparent, the RHQ scheme imposes a licensing requirement, but there's more to it than that. Companies hoping to take advantage must have 15 full-time staff in the KSA and a promise to have their KSA base as the MENA center of administrative control. There are a few other things on the list as well, so if you're interested, you should go through the fine print a bit more closely. There are some serious perks that come with this RHQ system, though. A 10-year Saudization exemption, unlimited visas, which are like gold dust, and of course, the 30-year tax holiday that I mentioned last week. You've got to love a tax holiday. If I was a business, I would be packing my metaphorical swimming trunks right now and getting ready for a move to the KSA. And let's not forget, in addition to those, there are those lucrative government contracts as well. On the face of it, this is a strategic masterstroke, positioning Saudi Arabia as the golden gateway to the Middle East, North Africa, and Asia. It's a move that unlocks business prospects, which will go hand in glove with a world-class infrastructure built around it to support that ecosystem. So clearly, it aligns with the Saudi Vision 2030 on a number of fronts. As mentioned, the new rules kicked in from January the 1st this year, so about a week ago. Without an RHQ, businesses are in danger of missing out on all of these strategic opportunities. If you are seriously considering the move, but maybe, we talked about rents last week, maybe the rents are too much for you in Riyadh, come check out the Eastern Province, the East Side. As mentioned last week, office space is comparatively cheap on this side, but do your homework because there's obviously more to it than just picking the right office. There may be wider tax implications, for example, under BEPS and Pillar 2. So do look into it very, very closely. I would be remiss as a tax advisor if I didn't mention the extension to the tax amnesty in the KSA. Some of you may already know that there was an amnesty in place that was due to expire at the end of 2023, so last month. As you can imagine, last month was a very busy time for people in my line of work. Across all taxes, the amnesty covered a variety of things: corporate income tax, withholding taxes, value-added tax, VAT, real estate transaction tax or RET, the last two being my focus. Yes, real estate is subject to tax in the KSA, so it is relevant. Thank you very much. For those of you that have no idea what a tax amnesty is, it is basically an opportunity for businesses to come clean about any tax errors or non-compliance without having to worry about fines and penalties. It was a measure that was first put in place around the time of the pandemic and had the aim of helping businesses through a difficult time whilst the KSA tax environment was still very much evolving. It has been extended a few times since then, but if you're in a position where you want to take advantage, you might have some old tax issues that you're worried about, some old tax skeletons in the cupboard. You've been given a lifeline here and another opportunity to sort that out, so do take advantage. The latest version of the amnesty covers the period to 30 June 2024, so you have some breathing room, but please do not leave it too late. In a strategic move aimed at bolstering Saudi Arabia's secondary housing finance market and aligning with the goal of achieving 70% home ownership by 2030, the Saudi Real Estate Refinancing Company, or SRC, has just injected a significant 50 billion Saudi riyals, or 13 billion US dollars, into the sector. Established in 2017 and fully owned by the Public Investment Fund, or PIF, SRC's unique approach focuses on providing liquidity to originators and financiers rather than at the retail level. And this helps to enhance market liquidity and supports the sector's growth from behind the scenes. Since its inception, SRC has galvanized housing finance by executing a ton of real estate refinancing transactions, supporting many residential finance institutions. In the period between 2021 and 2023, SRC was involved in refinancing operations totaling 29 billion Saudi riyals across 54 transactions and involving 16 institutions. Before SRC came along, housing refinance in the kingdom was very transactional, with banks selectively buying up portfolios. SRC's introduction of independent refinancing solutions marked a shift, helping to put in place some stability and an environment where innovation can take place. SRC's CEO Fabrice Susini emphasized the company's commitment to being the preferred partner for real estate financiers in the kingdom, and this is demonstrated by the upward trend in values and volumes involved. This recent injection may be in part a response to the drop in residential mortgages reported in the press a few days ago. In a housing market grappling with soaring prices and a limited supply of properties, the KSA witnessed a substantial 32% drop in real estate transactions during the first half of 2023, according to a report from Knight Frank. Faisal Durrani, partner at Knight Frank, attributes this decline to rampant house price growth, a supply crunch, and rising base rates, creating a scenario where home values are increasingly out of reach for the average household. From January to June last year, for the first half, the number of transactions plummeted from 103,000 all the way down to 70,000 compared to the same period in 2022, marking a significant contraction. The report also revealed a 35% decrease in the number of mortgages issued and a nearly 37% drop in the total value of mortgages issued, underscoring the challenges in the market. With this backdrop, it's easy to see why the SRC is injecting further liquidity in the market. While Riyadh experienced a 10% rise in apartment prices and a 5% increase in villa prices in Q2, Jeddah exhibited slower growth, with villa prices increasing by 1% and apartment prices by 2%. The Dammam metro area saw villa prices decline by 2%, but apartments doing much better with a 5% increase. This mixed picture reflects the overall fragmented performance of the residential market. Faisal Durrani emphasizes the financial strain on households, stating that with average monthly incomes nationwide standing at approximately 11,000 Saudi riyals and about 17,500 Saudi riyals in Riyadh, it is no surprise that household income multipliers in Riyadh have climbed. To address the supply crunch and achieve the 70% home ownership goal, the Ministry of Housing in Saudi Arabia is actively working on providing affordable housing options. Despite challenges, several projects have been delivered in 2023, contributing thousands of units across various cities. Meanwhile, data from the Saudi Central Bank reveals a 10% year-on-year decrease in residential mortgages provided by banks in November, totaling 6.66 billion Saudi riyals. Villa mortgages accounted for 66% of that total, followed by apartments and land plots. The decline in the number of contracts signed between banks and retail clients signifies further challenges in the real estate market. Are income multiples of 4.3 times for apartments in Riyadh and 12.7 times for villas in Riyadh, is this going to be the new normal? In the UK, over the last 50 years, we've seen a fairly consistent upward trend on these income multiples. In London, let's compare capital city with capital city. So like for like, in London, the average home is almost 14 times the average London wage. That's across apartments and houses. So we're not talking villas or houses, we're talking about the average across all property types, residential property types. Clearly, 14 times is more extreme than the situation we have in Riyadh currently. And as much as I hear talk of a property bubble in the UK, we are still seeing house prices creep up in some parts of the UK, even though interest rates are at comparatively high levels based on the last 20 years of data. What I'm trying to say is that there is no guarantee that this trend of increasing income multiples and properties becoming more and more expensive effectively, there's no guarantee that this trend will reverse in case you're waiting for a correction. What we saw in the UK was instead lots of measures from the government, whether it's new schemes to support first-time buyers or tweaks to the tax system. And on the finance side, we saw periods of really loose credit conditions, which only served to underpin and bolster house prices. Also, keep in mind that this is not financial advice. You should always do your own homework. Sticking with the theme of government support, I want to quickly cover a new scheme to support the hospitality industry. For those of you that may have aspirations of setting up hotels or Airbnbs or other businesses in the sector within the KSA, in a move to bolster entrepreneurship and support SMEs in the tourism sector, Saudi Arabia's Tourism Development Fund, or the TDF, has introduced TDF Grow, a dedicated tourism growth center. TDF Grow's primary focus is on fostering innovation, nurturing talent, and providing essential tools for entrepreneurs looking to establish themselves in the KSA tourism industry. Importantly, the scheme will also facilitate connections with investors and funding across both public and private sectors. If you look at the TDF website and look for TDF Grow at the top, you'll see a few different options depending on where you are with your idea, with your business. For example, if you're at the early seed level, the bootcamp may be an option, whereas for those businesses that are already more established, the accelerator may be a better fit. So have a look at the website. The overarching goal of the scheme is to facilitate the expansion and expedite the growth of tourism-related ventures, not just accommodation. So please do have a look if you have aspirations in that area. We are now going to do a quick fire round of news, starting with some news about Jeddah Tower. Major Korean construction firms Samsung C&T, Hyundai Engineering and Construction, and Daewoo Engineering and Construction have opted out of bidding to resume the construction of Jeddah Tower, the world's next tallest building. The project has been on hold for 7 years, and despite global bid invitations, Korean firms are seeing challenges ahead. The iconic tower, reaching 1,008 meters in height with an estimated cost of $1.23 billion US, faces an uncertain future after Saudi Bin Laden Group halted construction in 2017. The absence of Korean players is a notable twist in the saga of the ambitious Jeddah Tower. As we found out last week, Grade A office space in Jeddah is now renting out at a significant premium compared to a year ago, so it should, in theory, be easier to make the commercial justification to spend more if this is purely a budgetary issue. French engineering giant Alstom has clinched a groundbreaking contract with the Royal Commission for Al Ula to construct the world's longest battery-operated tramway. Valued at over 500 million euros, the Al Ula tramway will cover 22.4 kilometers, connecting 17 strategically located stations across Al Ula's historical districts, including UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The tramway is designed to be without those unsightly overhead cables, which is great as it minimizes the visual impact, the intrusion of the infrastructure on the landscape. And let me just repeat, this will be the world's longest battery-powered line. We might not get the tallest building with the Jeddah Tower, but we are well beating when it comes to battery-powered trams. Thank you very much. Mohammed Khalil, managing director of Alstom Saudi Arabia, expressed enthusiasm for the project, highlighting its unique blend of sustainability and cultural immersion. It's being described as experiential in some of the articles, which implies that it's not just about getting from A to B, and it will take you through some really beautiful parts of Al Ula. As the tramway takes shape, it promises to redefine public transportation in Saudi Arabia, offering a seamless and immersive journey through the region's rich historical tapestry. And with any kind of transportation infrastructure that gets put in place, it always has an impact on the wider region, the wider area. So do keep in mind that this may impact real estate in that area too. Stay tuned for this transformative tramway experience. I genuinely can't wait. Saudi's industrial landscape is set for a major facelift as Modon unveils plans for 10 dynamic projects across 6 cities, injecting over 538 million Saudi riyals, that's 145 million US, into the kingdom's economic veins. For those of you that don't know, Modon is the Saudi Authority for Industrial Cities and Technology Zones, and they have been very busy over the past few years. Amongst other things, Modon promises to establish 80 factories and ready-made facilities in Al Assa and Taif's industrial cities. Focused on improving basic services, Modon is also implementing medium and low voltage networks in Taif Industrial City and will create a strategic road linking the Dammam Third Industrial City and the King Salman Energy Park or Spark in an effort to better integrate those key areas. Go Eastern Province. The last story is actually from Bahrain, which is not very far from where I'm based, but it is a story that is close to my heart. Apparently, some Bahraini residents are fed up with the construction soundtrack playing at all hours, and the authorities are on a mission to bring back the sweet sound of silence. Angry Bahraini residents have declared war on the construction noise that's robbing them of their precious sleep, and I can totally relate here in Al Khobar. If it's not drilling or moving furniture late at night by my neighbors, it's construction works kicking in just after 5 a.m. outside my window. The Bahraini authorities apparently propose a construction curfew, so works would have to start at 7 a.m. and come to an end by sunset, which sounds like heaven to me. On that note, we come to the end of this week's news. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got questions or topics you'd like us to explore, please drop them in the comments below. Hit that notification bell or the subscribe button. Join our community. Let's start a conversation on the world of Saudi Arabian real estate. Until next time, take care